high in Sri Lanka's mountainous heart. Monsoon mists embark on a journey that will carry their water through a forested world that's constantly changing. From the wind-swept cloud forest, where blanketed limbs soak up the saturated air, through the lush tropical rainforest, teeming with life, to the sultry mangroves that stand rooted at the edge of the Indian Ocean. This is a voyage of contrasts. From cold to hot, high to low, fresh to salty, a journey across the Monsoon Island as water flows from cloud to coast. Two and a half kilometers up in Sri Lanka's central highlands is a strange and extraordinary world. A world almost permanently shrouded in a cold cloak of thick fog. Winds swing in over the ocean, picking up humid air. As these moisture-laden clouds blow inland, they collide with the mountains. Reaching up from the crags, trees pluck at the passing clouds, snagging them with long fingers. Rather than rain falling from the clouds, the densely packed trees of the cloud forest strip moisture from the fog. Droplets condense on every leaf and trickle down glistening stems. Mosses and lichens swaddle the branches, soaking up the water like a sponge, then gradually releasing it drip by drip. The steady trickle of a constant flow that washes down the mountains. This misty, dank realm is at the heart of a sweltering tropical island. Sri Lanka nestles just off the coast of India in the warm Indian Ocean. Its position in the tropics means that at different times of year, it's at the mercy of two different monsoons. Between December and February, the northeastern monsoon charges across the Bay of Bengal and batters Sri Lanka's northeast coast with heavy rain and tropical storms. Come May, it's the turn of the southwest, when another monsoon sweeps in across the Indian Ocean from the opposite direction. It's August, right in the middle of the southwest monsoon. This lofty, waterlogged world is not an easy place to live. The fog doesn't just make everything wet. It also keeps the temperature at a relatively chilly 15 degrees for most of the year. Trees exposed to the elements are stunted to cope with the cold and wind. A bent-toed gecko moves sparingly to conserve her energy in the cool conditions. Like most gecko species, she lacks eyelids. So she uses her tongue to remove grit and droplets of water. millions of minute, feather-like protrusions make it the ideal lens-cleaning cloth. Fog stripping allows the cloud forest to absorb 20% more water from the atmosphere than other types of forest. Some of it remains here, but any excess is released, beginning its 160-kilometer journey downhill. As the altitude decreases, the temperature quickly rises. The fog-draped cloud forest in the highlands gives way to rich tropical rainforests, 1,000 meters below and 12 degrees warmer. At these lower altitudes, the clouds willingly relinquish their load, releasing over 5,000 millimeters of rain every year. This is a different world. Hot and wet, the perfect conditions for life to run riot. It's the most diverse habitat in Sri Lanka, home to half of all vertebrate species on the island. To gain an edge over competitors in such a crowded place, you need to specialize. From the tip of its nose to the end of its tail, the Malabar giant squirrel is over 3/4 of a meter long. It lives 30 meters up in the canopy and rarely ventures to the ground. All the food it needs, fruit, nuts, insects, and tree bark, is right here. It's well suited for an arboreal lifestyle. A long tail acts as a counterweight to help with balance. Broad hands and large claws provide a tight grip. And it's an agile acrobat, able to reach even the most inaccessible places. Half of all animals in the rainforest live up here in the canopy. So there's little chance of being alone. Sharing the squirrel's tree is a troop of purple-faced leaf monkeys. They move through the canopy with equal ease. Their specially adapted short thumbs and elongated fingers act like hooks to help them swing from branch to branch. They're a closely knit bunch of adult females, juveniles, and babies, all under the protection of the alpha male. This high up, they should be safe from leopards, which don't like to climb to the tops of the trees. But a python isn't deterred. Waves of muscle contractions propel it as it squeezes its way up the tree. It's hungry, and a baby monkey would do nicely. Its mother is unaware of the approaching danger. But others have spotted the silent intruder. Four purple-rumped sunbirds with nests nearby launch an attack, mobbing the snake. The warning alerts Mum and the rest of the troop. Cover blown, the snake retreats. Water is the forest's lifeblood. But in the monsoon, the rain is torrential and persistent, dropping as much as 1,300 millimeters in just 1 month. These relentless downpours can cause problems for some of its residents. Insects can't fly when it's hammering down. And with their food supply grounded, these birds too must wait for a gap in the weather. It never stops raining for long, so their time to hunt is limited. To maximize these small windows of opportunity, they've adopted a collective strategy. Rather than hunting alone, they work together in mixed flocks to cause as much disturbance as possible and flush out insects and other small animals. In the canopy, a drongo is the ringleader. She's a clever mimic. She copies the calls of other birds to draw them in and gather the mixed flock. First on the scene is a blue magpie. He's a good bird to get on board. He lives in a small group of 6, so he always comes with a ready-made team to help out. Orange-billed babblers are next to show up. They're the drongo's noisy second-in-command and the Pied Pipers of the forest. The rest of the flock follow their chatter and jabber as they move past. Together they sweep through the forest like one giant vacuum cleaner, devouring anything along the way. This forest hosts the richest mixed flock gathering in the world, with up to 41 different species working together, almost double the number seen elsewhere. A myna bird has been gathering fruit for her hungry chicks. But she's not averse to a little meat in her diet, and with a growing brood to satisfy, she's quick to take advantage of the mixed flock passing by. The disruption they cause makes it far easier for her to nab a kangaroo lizard. A nice bit of protein to supplement her chick's largely fruit diet. When the rain starts again, the mixed flock disbands to wait for another break in the clouds. The leaves of the canopy bear the brunt of the deluge, but they're well adapted to cope. A waxy surface and pointed drip tips allow excess water to run off easily. This not only prevents the growth of algae, which would limit the ability to photosynthesize, it also means that, although the canopy is dense, copious amounts of water spill down to the understory below. Weaver ants build their nests in these lower trees, each one strong enough to withstand the torrent from the canopy above. With over 500,000 individuals, this colony has multiple nests across numerous trees. But the ants are always looking to expand their empire. Working together, they grab the edges of leaves with a vice-like grip, pulling them close, and even forming chains of multiple ants to bridge wider gaps and zip the leaves up. It's a precarious job, but the ants are absolutely dedicated. Some die in this position rather than let go. Once the leaves are held in place, fellow worker ants retrieve larvae from another nest and get to work inside. Using them like a glue gun, they tap a larva on the leaf to release its sticky silk and painstakingly stitch the leaves together. These ants are both construction worker and farmer. Their livestock are aphids. These tiny insects are voracious eaters, sucking sap out of leaves and excreting minute drops of honeydew. The ants love this clear, sugary liquid. Drumming the aphids with their antennae provokes the release of a delicious droplet. The ants keep the aphids in tightly knit groups near the nest. But the aphids aren't reluctant hostages. Their soft bodies offer little defense against a long list of predators. And ants are the perfect bodyguards, always ready to attack with their razor-sharp mandibles. The weavers built a protective tent of larval silk around their charges, with sentinels posted outside for extra security. Most aphids seem happy to stay within their refuge. But when a lamb wanders away from the flock, the farmer gently brings it back. It's an unlikely alliance, but one that pays dividends and helps both ants and aphids carve out a unique niche in this most competitive of places. Gaps in the canopy, dotted throughout the rainforest, allow light to pour in and rain to collect into ponds. A still body of water attracts plentiful insects. And makes this the perfect place for an insect-devouring predator to spin her magic. The giant golden orb weaver spans 15 centimeters, one of the largest spiders in the world. And she needs a big web. She's a skillful engineer with a well-honed technique. Holding on with her front legs, she uses 3 of her back legs to guide and place silk from a spinneret at the tip of her abdomen. A foreleg, extended to the left, helps to orientate herself and check the angle of the curve. Back and forth, she lays down her trap lines. But her ingenuity doesn't stop there. Spider silk is a protein fiber. Weight for weight, it's 5 times stronger than steel. But not all silk is equal. The web's outer rim is made of strong, rigid silk. But the inner rings are much more elastic, able to withstand the massive impact of an insect in full flight. Tiny blobs of glue make the silk sticky. The finished web stretches over 1 meter wide. Trap set. All she has to do now is wait. The canopy above shelters the understory against squally monsoon showers. The blustery weather dislodges tiny helicopter seeds from the tops of a dipterocarp tree, which spiral down from above. Their wings slow their descent, allowing the breeze to carry them further from the parent tree. Some land in a good location, where light, moisture, and nutrients are abundant. Others are not so lucky. Anything falling here, edible or not, sends fish into a frenzy. There are hundreds of them in this pond, so they must fight over every scrap and morsel. All the action attracts attention. A water snake. An expert angler. got one. It swallows the fish alive. Back on the edge of the clearing, things are looking good for the golden orb weaver. Her choice of location was perfect, and her cupboard is almost full. But there's always room for one more. Biting with her fangs, she injects venom to paralyze the fly and vomits digestive enzymes to soften it from the inside out. She hangs this one up to let it tenderize, then moves onto one she's prepared earlier. This fly is just right. She chews it with her jaws and sucks up the liquefied insides. She's not just surrounded by corpses. She has living company in her woven lair. Three male golden orb spiders stay close to try and take advantage of her well-stocked pantry. 20 times smaller than she is, they must move with extreme caution. Suspending their own drag lines minimizes their movement on the main web. This one hasn't chosen the most appealing of meals. It's full of maggots, but it's the best he's got. The big girl's eyesight is poor, but she can detect the slightest vibration. One wrong move, and he could find himself wrapped up in her silky embrace. Another male has a far better plan. Carefully, he disconnects a fly from the female's web and transfers it to his own line. On his personal little zip wire, he drops it over 1/2 meter away from his ferocious girlfriend. She's too busy to realize she's just been burgled. And the wily male can feed in peace and safety. Plenty of water trickles down through the jungle, meaning the forest floor is permanently moist. But light is a different matter. Only 2% of the sunlight that hits the canopy reaches these gloomy depths. It's a shadowy world where mimics hide, cloaked in the cryptic colors of decaying leaf litter. Yet the forest floor is the engine room powering the whole rainforest. Fungi and bacteria thrive in these dark, damp conditions. They decompose the leaves cast off by the canopy and quickly release nutrients back to the forest. It's this constant recycling that supports this incredibly complex web of life. Without this layer of decay, there's simply no way the rainforest could survive. It's raining again. And this time more heavily than usual. Ponds and lakes on the forest floor fill to the brim during this powerful monsoon storm. It triggers a burst of action in a couple of tree frogs. Having bathed in the ponds overnight to absorb plenty of water through their skin, it's time to breed. The larger female gives her smaller mate a lift as they search for a nesting site. It's hard going, especially with a passenger on board. Spot chosen, she excretes a rich cocktail of proteins, which they froth up into a lather by rubbing their legs together. Into the foam, she lays up to 300 eggs, and the male deposits his sperm. The duo has chosen a prime piece of real estate. High up to avoid predators and directly over a pond so the tadpoles can drop in once they're ready. But top spots like this get more than a little busy. It's not only nest sites that are at a premium. Females are as well. A crowd of lusty bachelors watches on, ready to seize any opportunity to fertilize eggs. This one's pushing his luck. He'll have to find another, less crowded party to join. Half an hour later, mating is finished. And so too is the male's role. Left alone, the female extracts herself from the ball of foam. As it dries, it hardens, leaving a sticky, solid mass. It makes it difficult for her to get out, but it's the perfect protection for the precious fertilized eggs, safely bubble-wrapped inside. In less than a week, there'll be tadpoles, ready to plunge to the pond below. New additions to the incredible diversity of life in the rainforest. Leaving the rainforest behind, the water continues its journey downhill. Nearly 50 kilometers downstream, it flows through forests of a very different kind. Here, fresh water meets salt water brought in by coastal tides. The briny conditions would quickly kill most plants. But the mangrove trees of Uluwatuna thrive in it. Their tangled web of roots can filter out as much as 90% of the salt. Busy among the mangrove leaves, a team of weaver ants is on the prowl. This hardy species is equally at home in the brackish tidal zone as it is in the rainforest. Predators tend to give them a wide berth, well aware of the damage they can inflict. But they've strayed into dangerous waters. And this one's being watched. Under attack, she tries to retreat to safety. But there's nowhere to flee. Finally, her persistent pursuer hits the jackpot. The stealthy mangrove sniper is a 7-spot archer fish. Taking water into its mouth, it squeezes its gills to spit out a jet with enough force to knock prey off its perch. It's so precise, it can even hit a moving target over 2 meters away. Its accuracy comes down to incredible eyesight. It can judge distance through both water and air, allowing for the change in direction as light hits the water and bends. There's a real knack to it. And this big one's the sharpest shooter in these saline waters. It's the oldest and most experienced, and has built up quite a following of other archer fish, who can learn how to shoot simply by watching. But this wily apprentice isn't just here to study. It has an ulterior motive. Let others do the hard work, and then steal a prize. Even an opportunistic monofish isn't above a little thievery. But if you can't shoot and you won't steal, there's still an alternative. Just grab it. The mangrove's scaffold-like roots provide protection against the rise and fall of the tide. And some of the strangest animals in the world make their home here. Fish that walk. throngs of 6-centimetre barred mud skippers emerge to feast on the tiny algae in the mud as the tide recedes. Each has hardened pelvic fins under its body to raise it off the floor and help it along. Taking a break from feeding, they hang out on half-submerged branches. It may look like they're sunbathing, but they're actually taking time to breathe. Rather than using gills, mud skippers breathe through their skin when on land. When swimming, they carry a bubble of air in their gill chambers, just like a scuba diver's tank. With the ebb and flow of the tide, there's only a short time to lay claim to the best breathing sites. Flashing his fins and opening his mouth, this mud skipper makes an aggressive move for the highest point on the branch. But his competitor is up to the challenge. It's a question of who'll blink first. One final push, and the victor wins top spot. Sharing the shore, ring-legged fiddler crabs also emerge to feed when the tide is out. A female painstakingly sifts through the beach. She shovels in sand, extracts small particles of algae and bacteria, then deposits the unwanted grit in a small, neat ball. While she's busy feeding, someone's trying desperately to get her attention. A male suitor. Waving his giant claw, he tries to woo her over. She'll decide whether to mate depending on the size of his appendage and the quality of his display. Apparently, she's not impressed. And now he has a rival for her affections. The challenger is better equipped. And forces the smaller clawed crab to concede. Hiding in his burrow is the only option left. The dominant crab really pushes his advantage home, showing off his strength to the female onlooker. Point made, he takes over the courtship. But she's still not interested. The moisture that once drifted in with the monsoon mist has finally completed its journey, merging at last with the sea. It's traveled 160 kilometers from the cloud forest in the highlands, through the hot, lush rainforest, to the salty mangroves that fringe the coast. As ocean currents carry it away, the cycle begins again. water evaporates into the atmosphere and then sweeps back inland, carried by the monsoon winds. Here, once more, it starts the long journey down through Sri Lanka's extraordinary jungles.